Hello guys, what is happening and welcome to tonight's live stream. For the past couple of weeks now, I've been looking into the Airbnb situation. Obviously, Airbnb wasn't even a feature in 2008 because there was no Airbnb, but it's gonna really be interesting. It's gonna blow your mind, some of the data that we're going to go through today, and it's also formed part of a video that I filmed, which kind of compresses everything that we're going to talk about today. But so you can see the reason behind that video, we'll go through it today because I think this is something that nobody is talking about. I haven't heard anybody discuss the consequences of a recession for Airbnbs, which is essentially the travel sector. So it's very, very interesting. So anyway, guys, please hit that like button. It greatly helps the video get out there and defy that YouTube algorithm that likes to suppress the video. So please do that. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, and turn the notification bell on so you get notified when we go live. You don't have to catch every single stream, but you can catch the ones that you are interested in, and that's what's important. So we're going to dig into this. I got a bunch of places that we're going to go through, and we're going to kind of run it like that. I'm also going to try and reach out to George and see, George Gammon, and see if he's interested in covering this on his Rebel Capitalist channel, because I think he'll be very interested in what I'm going to be talking about on this video, because this, like I've said, is not something anybody is talking about. Obviously we only have a small reach on this channel, and channels like George's have a wider reach. And, I really believe that it's important to bring this information to the forefront. That's really the klutz of it. So we'll dig into this. So it's going to be fantastic. It's going to blow your mind. Obviously, guys, as you know, we have said that we're interested in buying an Airbnb in Mexico, when prices crash. But until these statistics that we're going through today go down, we are nowhere near interested, because you can really see how things are just going to happen. So anyway, let me bring up this chart here, which shows air transportation, all employees. And this is what I want to run by you so you can get where I'm going with this, whatever you want to call it, the theory that we're going through today. So basically, obviously, this is the 2008 recession right here, highlighted in dark gray. So obviously, it lasted 2-3 quarters. The government said it lasted 2-3 quarters. But as you can see from this chart, no, it didn't, because the travel industry didn't even bottom out. So employment didn't even bottom out in the travel industry until February 2014, 6 years after the recession started. So just think about that. The recession started in December 2007. And really, it didn't bottom out until February 2014. That's a long, long time. That's actually longer. It's 7 years. So it's a long time. And this chart looks at employment. So you can see it trended all the way down here from March 2008, reached its bottom in February 2014. And here's the other thing. It didn't even recover and get back to its peak of 502.5 until here, I guess, May 2019. So it's absolutely Cow somebody, thank you so much there for the super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel. Even Rogers cannot stop in this fire stream. Thank you. So yeah, if you haven't heard, guys, in Canada there has been outages across Canada with relating to Rogers, and Interac has also gone down because apparently Rogers, which is a big telecommunications company here in Canada, one of pretty much three, because there's only three, Bell, Telus and Rogers, because Canada loves monopolies. That's what Canada's favorite thing is. And it's gone down today. Like, their network has been having issues all over Canada, and it's been leading to widespread issues where businesses can only accept cash. Now, I've said this before, and this is a perfect opportunity to talk about cash, because I've always said it's important to have a certain amount of cash handy for, literally situations exactly like the one that Kowson is outlining here. So it's very important to have some cash on the side, because you never know what's going to happen. You could have wide scale power outages. You just never know what's going to happen. The other thing that was noted is a lot of people having banking issues. Now, doesn't that kind of ring an alarm bell in your head with everything that's going on right now, that banks are having issues with their platforms? So it's very interesting. I did put out a poll on Twitter, and 30% of people, when I looked at it last, said that they were experiencing issues with accessing their banking. So, that is very significant in my opinion. So I think, we can only speculate at what's going on behind the scenes there, but you get where I'm going with that. So you can see that it bottomed out here February 2014, but we didn't get back until the peak and pass it until February 2019. So that is like over 10 years. You didn't get the employment index at the same for all employees in air transportation until over 10 years after the recession. So that is substantial. It's very, very substantial. And that's why I wanted to bring that chart up, just so that you know how long this affected the travel sector. So let's say at best it was a 6-year dive that the travel industry took, because if people aren't flying, then they don't need as many employees, and etc., etc. It works like that. Now, interestingly enough, if you look at the consumer price index for airfares, that was back up by 2011, like the stock market, because the money printer was fired up. And you can just see how these things influence consumer prices right there, because the consumer prices of airfares, they pretty much followed the stock market, but employment did not follow the stock market at all. So very, very interesting. So I'm going to take you to a website now that's called Inside Airbnb. So all these websites are going to be in the description of this video. Inside Airbnb is a very, very handy site, because it shows you the I mean, some of these places are going to blow your mind when we look at how many Airbnbs there are. Even I was like surprised. So let's take a look at New York City, for example. 37,000 Airbnbs in New York City. And, I mean, it's insane. And you can go down and look by different place, everything like that. Let's take a look at Toronto in Canada. 15,000 Airbnbs, and you can look at the concentration of these Airbnbs are mostly around where most high rises, condos, things like that are. So, look at the density of these Airbnbs right around the harbor front. There is just an absolute insane amount. You can see how many are licensed and unlicensed. So more are unlicensed than licensed. And basically everywhere in Toronto requires a license to Airbnb, but 62.5% of them are unlicensed. So it just makes you laugh. But you can see the occupancy levels here as well. But it's pretty interesting, and a lot of listings are obviously, hosts have more than one listing, and it also breaks down different hosts, so you can actually see their name, like Alec and Lily. They own 61 profit homes and apartments in Toronto. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if that's in Toronto in total or their entire portfolio. But you can see that people are creating a business around Airbnb, and I have no problem with people creating a business around Airbnb. The problem is people aren't going to be able to see a wave coming towards the shore, a tsunami, if you will. And it's the normalcy bias that prevents that. And the problem is all these people that have created these vastly successful businesses on the back of Airbnb, do you think they're going to start selling? Do you think they started selling their portfolio last year when they saw, hey, the market is crazy, we can make an insane rate of return and lock in some profit here? No, they thought the opposite of that, guys. Most people in that position thought this is a great opportunity to get a lot of debt, which we can then finance more properties, buy more properties, and that obviously just helps drive speculation up and up and up and up to new heights. And that's exactly what we saw in 2021. And inside Airbnb, link is in the description. It's got loads of different places on there. But now here's the real barn burner, as my buddy Scott Wallace says. And I've been going through a number of places on here, but it's going to be very, very interesting to show you how much these Airbnbs have boomed since just 2019 and the pandemic. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen here so you can see. Hey, Catherine, hello and good night from Greece. You're awesome. It must be real late there. You're awesome too. Thank you for watching and good night to you. Yeah, it must be really super late there. It must be like 2 a.m. Maybe you're partying. I don't know. So this is Air DNA. So basically it's a Airbnb analytics platform. It's really useful actually, I think, if you're an Airbnb owner to look at this. It gives you all kinds of insights and data, and obviously you can pay for their service. But basically we're going to go through a number of areas now, and we're going to go through the percentage gain from Q2 2019 to Q2 2022. Like, how much has the Airbnb inventory expanded since 2019? And when we do this, think about the economy. Think about the economy. Is the economy in a better or worse position to 2019? It's in a much worse position. Not only that, we're going into an inflationary recession, and it's just incredibly, it's just ridiculous. So we're going to take a look at this. So this is Kawartha Lakes, which is where I have a buddy who owns a cottage there. So I thought this would be a good place because it's cottage country, Ontario. A lot of people go vacationing here. It's a popular vacation. We're mainly going to focus on where people go on vacation, not so much the city centers, because they're kind of not relevant for what we're talking about here, Airbnbs. So this is going to blow your mind. So as you can see, this chart on the left here, so active rentals in Q2 2019 was 354. Okay, so I'm going to plumb this in to my percentage calculator here. And right now, Q2 2019, 699 active Airbnbs and VRBO listings. So that is growth of 97% in cottage country. Now, what did we see in 2021? We saw the price of real estate in cottage country in particular absolutely explode. So you can just see how a lot of the speculation has been people thinking this is a great time to buy a short-term rental. I mean, I'm not sure what Kool-Aid these people were drinking. Maybe it was the real estate agents, who knows? But, you know, the entirety of last year, I was never thinking that the economy was in good shape. I was thinking the economy is extremely sick and it's just propped up on artificial stimulus and artificial credit growth. And, you know, I've been saying it, like, go back, look at my older videos and you'll see, like, I've been doing videos since last year in June. And I've been saying since then how artificially propped up the economy is. And as soon as rates start to rise, you're going to see this thing just crumble. And that's exactly what we've seen. And that's not because I'm some sort of genius, because I'm really not, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn at all. I just think a lot of people could have seen this if they just opened their eyes. But the thing is, people just get blinded by greed, they get blinded by FOMO, and it just creates this mania, which is why I called the channel Market Mania. That's why I came up with this name, because it was a market mania. It was like people were insane, like they were sick, they were physically sick, and they just ignored everything. Like 2021, the perfect year to buy an Airbnb. Like who? I mean, who? I say that, but loads of people did that, as we can see on the analytics. And we're going to go through, I've got like 15 places, 3 different countries, and they're all the same theme, guys. They're all the same theme, but we're going to go through them and you're going to see exactly that this is just, and people aren't, like I said, their opportunity to sell has flown away, and now they're just going to be holding the bag. We're going to drift into a recession. People aren't going to be booking these Airbnbs anymore, and they're going to basically be faced with the decision of either flipping it to the rental market or flipping it to the resale market, and this is going to lead to a massive supply of rental inventory hitting the market. That's going to drive down rents. That's going to put pressure on landlords. It's also going to put pressure on housing prices at the same time. So it is just, we haven't even seen the start of this. This inventory of short-term rentals is still growing because there's still people who are brain dead. There are still people who are terminally brain dead out there buying. And I'm sorry, but if you are buying an Airbnb in Q2 2022, I mean, I'm sorry, but you are very, very delusional is the word I'm looking for, because, I mean, anybody could see this coming. The writing is on the wall. Like, you'd have to be a clown to go out and buy an Airbnb. But, you know, some people are led down the garden path. You know, you flick through TikTok or whatever it is, YouTube Shorts, or even the adverts on these videos, and they are people selling real estate investing courses. Like, these people, most of them, same with stock market courses. Most of the, and this goes for most, there are some people who have a legitimate strategy and they are legitimately self-made in real estate and the stock market. But 90% of the courses that you see for the stock market and for real estate investing, the people make their primary source of income is the courses, is selling the courses. It's not their primary source of income, which is actually the business of creating real estate wealth, like real estate investing and everything like that. So it's important to note. So let's move on and get some more of these places. So Canmore is another one where we've seen prices just explode. It's gone on to Toronto, but might as well mention it. But you can see here Toronto listings in Q2 2019, 20,364, and now at 13,588. And that is actually lower than before. But it's interesting because I was part of another website which was called AirBTICS, and my trial expired on that. But that was showing the opposite to this. So, I mean, I'm not sure what to make of that really with that. Okay, so Canmore. Oh yeah, that other website is only Airbnb. That's what to make of that. This actually includes VRBO as well, which is really handy. So you can see here that rental growth in Canmore, you had 1,305 listings in Q2 2019. Now you have 2,036. So 1,305, 2,036, that's a growth of 56%. You know, these numbers, they don't sound like a lot, do they? But when you actually put them into percentage terms, 56%. So I'm just writing these numbers down next to the places I've got. So far we got 98% growth, Kawartha Lakes, and 56%. Now we're going to move on to Kelowna. Kelowna is obviously a place that people live and work in, and it's a place of mad housing market speculation as well. So you can see in Kelowna here, listings in Q2 2019 were 1624, and now they're 2008. Isn't that ironic? 2008. I won't forget that number. So that's an increase of 23%. So all we're seeing is increases here of listings. Like, we're not seeing any decreases. We're not seeing anybody taking profit. We're just seeing people going into these Airbnbs. So next place we're going to go on to is, I can't pronounce the name of this place properly, but Osoyoos, which is another place where a lot of people go. It's a smaller market for sure, but the active rentals there, because you could buy a house probably for 300,000 in Osoyoos or whatever. I'm just gonna call it Osoyoos. I know that's wrong. I was speaking to my buddy when we were out last night, and he was trying to tell me how to say this, and I just can't say it, like, whatever. But anyway, 129 to 192, and that doesn't sound like much, but again, it's a 48% increase in the amount of Airbnbs since Q2 2019. That's a huge growth in the amount of inventory of Airbnbs. Like, you're getting into a massively crowded segment if you're getting into Airbnb in any of these places. So let's look at Victoria. That's where we just were staying in an Airbnb. So growth there, 1,369 in Q2 2019, and you're pretty much bang on flat, so not really any growth. And you can see how it went down throughout 2020, which you would expect. And this is the thing, guys. Like, you can see here how in these larger markets it went down. And what did we see in some of these larger markets? We saw rental prices declining. You saw the housing market taking a breather. So you're going to see a repeat of that. Patterns repeat. And obviously the artificial stimulus, the massive stimulus, was almost immediately the heroin delivered by the government and the central banks was almost immediate. Whereas here, it's not going to be immediate. In fact, they're doing the opposite. They are taking the punch bowl away, and it's doing the opposite. The trend is going up as they're taking the punch bowl away. Well, that's going to lead to steep declines. So Victoria pretty much flat for Airbnbs and VRBOs. So now we're going to move on to the US. So let's go to where Robert Kiyosaki lives, in Phoenix. So Phoenix obviously has been a mad place of speculation. Phoenix, Arizona. So you've gone from 4,297 there all the way up to 6,971. So that is a huge increase. And you can just, it baffles my mind that people thought this is an excellent time to get an Airbnb. So it increased 63%, Phoenix, Scottsdale. And by the way, you can put whatever in the comment, in the chat, put an emoji by it so I can see it easier. But put any places that you want me to look at the end, and we'll pull it up and see what the difference is. So 63% growth there. Let's have a look at my buddy Scott Walters' residence, see what Airbnb's doing there. Oh, look, surprise, surprise. It's rip-roaring, 1,355. And it goes up to 1,881. So 1,881, we got a 38% increase in Airbnb. So it really is insane. Until these numbers come down, you would just be nuts to invest in Airbnb. So Ocean City, Maryland, another popular place to go on the holidays in the east side, on the east coast, sorry. So you had 3,502 listings, and now you've got 6,892. So, that is just an absolute, that is 96% growth in Ocean City. So, talk about a crowded space. I mean, look at the amount of Airbnbs. It's just nuts. Absolutely nuts. So we'll move on now to Florida. I know we got some viewers on here from Florida in the Sarasota area. So obviously Florida was a massive area of rampant speculation as well. And you can see that Airbnb's active were 2,885. That has now rose to 5,491. So, I mean, the fact is you've just got to be asking yourself, like, is this going forward going to be needed during a recession? Like, are these people who bought the top of the market in 2021, where you can clearly see that the Airbnb inventory was rising, are these people going to be able to sustain themselves with their mortgage payments on the fact that the occupancy rate is going to crash, the fact that not many people are going to be spending money on traveling? They are going to be massively affected, and unfortunately, most Airbnb people are going to lose their business because I say that if they bought in 2021, because the fact is it's just unsustainable, and they bought so high in the property market that they are literally screwed. And if they try and sell, a lot of people are going to be doing the same thing. So that was 90% growth in Cape Coral, Florida. So these numbers are just absolutely nuts. And you can see how housing prices rose and why they rose so much. So another place that I've been to and I think is phenomenal. And, we visited Key West a number of times. I think we've been there 4 times. We've been there, I think it was 2012, 2013, 2014. And, back then, because things weren't as expensive and the fact that really the recession was still being felt, it was pretty inexpensive to travel there and we were actually in a house on Key Largo, a beautiful house. I dread to think how much that place rents out to now, but it's, the Keys are awesome place to visit. 1,642 to 2,642. So again, this is just absolutely insane growth in Florida. Does it look sustainable? I don't think so. So that's a 61% growth in the Airbnb listings on Key West. So we're coming up to some centers now that have been massively speculative. One is Salt Lake City, which is kind of a place that a lot of people go and visit. So 2,612 in Q2 2019. Now they've got 3,835. So let me put that in there. 3,835. So that's growth of 46%. Yeah, it's just madness, these numbers, but they really tell the story. And we're going to get onto Mexico in a minute, and you'll see that it's been growing there. And you would always expect lower growth in Mexico because the fact is less people were going there, less people could actually get there because of all the travel mandates that were in place. So now we go to Viva Las Vegas. We've got, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I've got that on here. That's coming up. We'll do Surrey BC. All right. So, I mean, this is insane. And no wonder the Las Vegas real estate market is so speculative. Because you got 10,000, you had 10,707 listings in Q2 2019. Now you have 15,627. I mean, this is just insane. We're going country to country, and we're just seeing the same thing. So 45% growth. That is a huge market, and it's grown 45%. So now we move to Mexico, and you can see the inventory in Mexico is just huge, absolutely huge for small areas. So pretty much you saw, as you would think in Puerto Vallarta, that the inventory went down during 2020, but now it's toned back up. So you got 8,173 in Q2 2019. and now there's 9,061. So it's not as drastic as everywhere else, but I would expect that, because the thing is, you're not gonna, I mean, the fact is, people couldn't get here to actually purchase the property. Like, it was very difficult to travel throughout the cerveza sickness. So people actually had issues getting to Mexico to purchase property. But as you can see, it still managed to grow, despite the fact the tourism industry in Mexico was reeling for most of 2020 and 2021. It still grew. Now, it's very interesting because they are developing like crazy in these areas, absolute crazy growth in development. So the fact is that obviously there is massive amounts of supply coming, and eventually the demand is just going to drop off a cliff, and the supply is just going to continue coming, and you're going to see the prices crash. And at the same time, you're going to see a recession. Mexico's already in a recession, but you're going to see a recession, and that is going to mean less people are going to places like Mexico. And then you're going to have the fact that people aren't getting the Airbnb demand, and then they're going to be thinking, man, we might have to sell that Airbnb because we're struggling, because, you know, the wife lost the job, or I lost the job, or whatever it is. So now we can't afford to keep this Airbnb going, and we can't afford to keep going down to Mexico to maintain it and check on it or whatever. So you're just going to see these prices crash exactly like they did in 2008 in these tourist areas. And there's going to be good buys here, because when prices crash in Mexico, it's like on a different scale. Like, prices in parts of Panama are absolutely falling apart right now. It's like the demand has just dropped off a cliff. So I'm seeing like so much inventory coming on in Panama, price reductions, you know, condos that were going for 200,000, 3-bedroom condos in Panama City that were going for 200,000 last year are now going for 120,000. Like, that's over a 40% drop. Like, it's or near a 40% drop. That's significant. So let's see what 8173 to 9061. 817. Okay, so it grew 10%. That's still a lot of growth, and it's a big market. There's a lot of Airbnbs there. So the fact is, you're talking about places that have grown, and they've grown to literally the peak of the amount of travel vacation homes available as the global economy heads into a recession. So think about what that means. Like, it's just a disaster is what it means. So now we're going to flip to Cabo San Lucas, which is a spot that I've really got my eye on. And just look at the growth here. The growth here has been absolutely insane. So Q2 2019, you had 4,850 listings. Now you have 6,741. So let's do that math. 6,871. Let me just check I got that right. 6,741. 6,741. I always muddle up my numbers. I'm dyslexic, I swear. Undiagnosed dyslexic. All right, so 39%. 39% growth in Airbnb. So the thing is, guys, like, looking at all these Airbnbs, you can clearly see, like, there is no shortage of Airbnbs. Like, we have got tons and tons of Airbnbs. Like, they're absolutely everywhere. Like, this is the tourist corridor. Look, there's just tons, like, absolute oversupply. Like, it shows you all the listings. Like, you can just see the daily rates and everything like that. So you can go and hover on different buildings and see how different people are charging more money for different things. But yeah, I mean, that is nuts, absolutely nuts. And you really got to think. It also gives you more analytics like occupancy rate and also the average daily rate. So you can kind of figure out where's expensive, what's cheap, and you can also see revenue as well. But I find it really interesting. So we got 39% growth there. So let's see. Yeah. Keith Anna says, was thinking of grabbing a studio for Airbnb. Now I thinking of it twice. Yeah, same here, buddy. Like when I saw this, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm touching a Airbnb in Mexico until these listings start to come down drastically, because it is a totally overcrowded space, and you know, the global economy is heading into a recession. Like it's just a recipe for disaster. And obviously there's going to be a lag. People are going to try and hold on to these things as long as they can. But the fact is, it's not heading for a good place. So let's see. Surrey BC, somebody put in there. So let's see. Let's see how many rentals we got going in there. 88% on Airbnb. How many listings are there? So there's 1,000. Okay, so you had 1,152 in Q2 2019. Now you have 1,371. So again, like you're just seeing growth in these metro areas that aren't really touristy areas. Like that's a growth of 20% for Surrey BC. And let me know if there's anywhere else that you want me to take a look at here quickly before we end. But yeah, it's just really, oh yeah, Ottawa's a good one actually. Let me check out that house. And yeah, because I know there's a lot of people from Ottawa here. So that's quite interesting. Ottawa rentals have declined. They've gone from 3,747 down to 2,400. They really haven't recovered. They've kind of started to recover because they bottomed out at 2,170, but they're down quite a bit. But again, like it's like I said, using the big metro areas is a little bit difficult, because unless it's like a touristy place, like let's take Mont Tremblant for an example, because I know that is pretty not far away from Ottawa, and that's a touristy place. Oh look, the Airbnbs have held up much better there, and they're actually above Q2 2019, and that's because it's more of a touristy place. You've had people thinking they're very, very smart, and the fact is they're just not. So somebody said London, Ontario, London GB. There we go. The fake London. Oh, wow. So that's interesting. They've actually gone up 748. I mean, this isn't really a touristy area. So it's gone up from 748 to 983. So, and you got to think, like, imagine if half of that's 31% growth, but imagine if half of that just hit the rental market. Like, what would that do to rent prices? Well, the thing is, a lot of this is going to, like, let's not be naive here. A lot of this is going to hit the rental market, and it is going to bring down rental prices. So it's going to happen. You know, a lot of these Airbnb owners just aren't going to be able to accept. And I can guarantee that they're going to be very, very emotional. This is their business at the end of the day. They are not going to want to let go of it. They will probably end up filing for bankruptcy. A lot of them will probably end up handing it over to the bank, because I do believe it's going to get that bad. I don't think we're going to see any quick boom. Obviously, I know, and I got a video coming out at some point, that prices do not go down in a straight line. We will see some bull traps. And those people would just get took out and shot, unfortunately, behind the shed. Because the thing is, like, bull traps are the worst. They're the worst in the stock market. They're the worst in the real estate market, because those people just get wiped out in an instant. All their equity is gone, you know. And Scott can talk about that as well, because he experienced that firsthand in 2008. So he has a lot to talk about with that. And let's see if there's anybody else in here who's got any places to take a look at. Miami, good one. And Nanaimo, yeah, I was looking at Nanaimo. There wasn't much going on there, but Parksville, I think there was. Oh yeah, so Miami's grown 12,289 to 15,887. Wow. That's just so much growth when you consider how many listings there are. So that's growth of 26%. So that is just really, really insane growth. Like, that is thousands of listings in growth per year that you're seeing going into a recession. That, and that really is the majority of people encapsulated in that. Because think about that. This shows how people don't have a clue that a recession's coming. Like, I know a lot of us probably think everybody knows that a recession's coming. No, they don't. Like, nobody knows. You just converse with a lot of smart people that do know. And that's really the thing that's the reality. Like, I talk to my buddy. He doesn't even know that I have a YouTube. One of my best buddies out in Ontario. He doesn't even know that I have a YouTube channel. And so every time I say there's a massive recession coming, he's just like, "Oh, Canada's gonna be fine, man. Canada's not gonna have a recession." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, buddy, whatever." Like, I don't want to get in arguments with my buddies or whatever. I've learned the hard way that it's best to just sometimes keep your views to yourself. And also, I like to hear what he says because he gives me, good information as well. And I find it's better than declaring your stance on everything. Halifax, yeah, I was going to do that. So what haven't we done? Nanaimo, so let's take a look at that. So again, look at this Miami insanity. So let's take a look at Nanaimo. I did look at this earlier. So you're pretty much flat. It's grown a little bit, 534 to 564. But Parksville is a place a lot of people go vacation in, right by Nanaimo. And as you can see, as you would expect, it's gone from 151 listings to 201. And it doesn't sound like a lot, does it? When you say it like that, it's only 50 listings, but that's 33% growth. That's quite a lot of growth, guys, in that area. So Halifax, Nova Scotia, I think I looked at that as well. I was hoping that I could find, like, where do people go on holiday from Nova Scotia? But yeah, there wasn't really any growth. It's sort of flat, 2235, 1,979. It's gone down some, but yeah, I couldn't actually, and that's including quite the area, as you can see. I don't really see. So BC based on credit, says Adrian. yeah, that's really too. All right, yeah, let's take a look at Ambergis. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Jesus. Gris. Oh man, I'm butchering this. Yeah, it's not coming up, whatever that is. Belize. I wonder if it's just got Belize because it's a small country. Not really. So, I mean, we can look at Belize City, but I don't think that, yeah, it's just 152, but it's fairly flat. Calgary is not really that interesting like Toronto because it's a metro area. I think it's gone down or pretty much flat. It's pretty much flat. 4,394 to 4,216. That's still a lot of listings. Like, it's just crazy when you think about that. Like, that is still a lot of listings. Like, imagine if just 10 or 20% of that have to go to the long-term rental market. And they will have to go to the long-term rental market. There's no way that some of these, and especially we talked about Canmore as well, because Canmore's more the touristy place, obviously, in Alberta. But yeah, just bizarre. So is there anywhere else that anybody wants me to check? But I think we're pretty much good for this now. But yeah, I mean, what this just shows you guys, really, it just shows you how many listings there are out there, because even I did not anticipate to see these such massive amounts of listings. And then the growth in these listings from 2019 to 2022 is just insane. I mean, these are all the places that were above 90%. You've got Kawartha Lakes in Ontario, cottage country, 98% growth, pretty much doubled. You've got, where else? Ocean City, 96%. Cape Coral, 90%. Like, that is just nuts. And you've still got tons of these, like Canmore, 56%. Phoenix, 63%. Like Key West, 61%. Vegas, 45%. And you saw the amount of listings in this place. It takes a massive amount. And look at Calgary. Let's take Calgary, for example. You saw the rentals bottom out Q4 2020 at 3,000. Housing prices started to go up, didn't they? And look, you saw it go from 3,000 to 4,216. So think about that. That was either 1,200 homes that were took away from the resale market, or it was 1,200 homes took away from the rental market. Most likely it's a combination of both. But you are going to see that come back during this recession. Like, there is not going to be tons of people traveling. That's not what it was like after 2008. And we'll quickly flip back to that chart I used earlier for the people that joined here late. But yeah, you can see that air employees, which is a good indicator of how the travel industry was doing, they started going down in March 2008, bottomed out in 2014. 6 years later, so it took 6 years for that to bottom out, and then the travel industry to start rehiring people and the trend to go upwards again. And from 2014, it then took all the way to 2019 to get up to the same level on the index of employment that we had in March 2008. So that is just really it's just a sign of what's to come. You know, the government is going to probably come out and say, yeah, there's no recession. The recession's over. It only lasted a year or even less than a year. And the recession is going to be felt for decades probably in Canada, because the whole economy revolves around real estate, a real estate Ponzi scheme in essence, because now the capital is being withdrawn. We're going to see exactly how it works. And as in a Ponzi scheme, all those first investors who are smart enough to get out from the top going down, they're the ones that get out with some profit. They're the ones that lock in some gain. And all the ones that are emotional and can't sell their home and are so attached to their Airbnb, they're down the bottom and they're going to be crushed by the inversion of the pyramid that we're going to see. So anyway, guys, I thank you so much. It was a great live stream. I really enjoyed going through this. I wrote down all the numbers here and I'll post them in the description as well, just for people that want it for reference. And I'll do the same on the description on Spotify. Thank you so much for watching these live streams and being here tonight on your Friday night. Have a fantastic weekend, guys. I really mean that. Hope you enjoy it out there, and I will see you in the next live stream.